Good Thursday morning. It's September 30th, 2021. I'm Guy McPherson of Nature Bats Last. You can find Nature Bats Last at GuyMcPherson.com. If you go there upon release of this video, you will find two papers mentioned. One, the one I'm going to quote from relatively extensively, that's a post from ABC News on September 14th, 2021, and it refers to a peer-reviewed article in the Lancet Planetary Health from a week before, September 7th, 2021. Okay, so the ABC News story, as I indicated, young people experiencing widespread psychological distress over government handling of looming climate crisis, researchers say. I'm not sure that the climate crisis is looming so much as it is here right now, but we'll take that for what it may. The subhead, the youth feels a sense of institutional betrayal brought on by their leaders. Well, of course they do, because they're not idiots, and they have been betrayed by their so-called leaders, just as with every one of the previous generations of Americans, at least for the last 100 years or so. The lead, children and young people around the world are experiencing increasing anxiety over the fate of the planet, specifically climate change, and how lawmakers are handling the looming crisis, according to new research. That's the new research in the Lancet Planetary Health, as indicated a few seconds ago. Scientists who surveyed 10,000 young people, that's a lot, that's a significant sample size, ages 16 to 25 across 10 countries found that widespread psychological distress among them, and for the first time discovered that the anxiety was significantly related to perceived government inaction, according to a study published Tuesday in Lancet Planetary Health. And this is an important point. The young people, ages 16 to 25, and we could argue about whether numbers above 20 years or so of age are really young, but it's interesting that young people have got it figured out, whereas you could argue that boomers like me haven't yet got it figured out, that all is going swimmingly so far. Be that as it may, from a sample size of 10,000, nearly half of the young people surveyed, more than 45%, say their feelings about climate change negatively affect their daily life and functioning. That's a big deal, to negatively affect your daily life and how you function as you go through the day. That's huge in my book. Of the young people surveyed, 58% said governments are betraying them. That's huge. Betrayal is about as bad as it gets in terms of human interactions. Well, 62% said governments are not protecting them, the planet, or future generations. So these young people, ages 16 to 25, obviously have something figured out that most people my age and older don't have figured out. The final of 9 authors on this paper is Lisa Van Susteren, a general and forensic psychiatrist and co-author of this study. She said the findings are, quote, as much a measure of climate denial among adults as they are a measure of kids' anxiety. So not only are the adults not talking about it, but the youngsters, which I would also call adults for the most part, have got it figured out that they are being lied to, they are being betrayed by their own government. Van Susteren says, kids are very media savvy. They're not living in a cave. They have heard about what the future looks like. They've heard the warnings. Yes, they have. The warnings that apparently older people have not been paying attention to. I would argue with the notion that the government is not taking a lot of action, because up until the mere reflection framework was developed by my colleague, Dr. Ye Tao at Harvard's Rollin Institute, it appeared that there was nothing that could be done. Industrial activity at a high level is responsible for the greenhouse gases that are warming the planet, but a reduction in industrial activity leads to loss of aerosol masking, and therefore loss of habitat for our species and probably most others on Earth because of the rapidity of change. Turning to the article now, again published in the Lancet Planetary Health on September 7th, 2021, entitled Young People's Voices on Climate Anxiety, Government Betrayal, and Moral Injury, a Global Phenomenon. This is the first large-scale investigation of climate anxiety in children and young people globally and its relationship to government response. And the ABC News story tells everything that I think we need to know. There's a link to this peer-reviewed paper, but ABC News covered the story very well and pointed out the betrayal, the feelings of betrayal, the anger, the anxiety in young people. And yes, it's tragic that nothing has been done for the more than 100 years that the peer-reviewed literature has pointed out. One, industrial activity leads to greenhouse gases which warm the planet. And two, going back to a peer-reviewed paper in 1929, that reduction of industrial activity leads to an even faster heating of the planet. So there you have it. I think the message here is twofold. One, we're screwed, and two, we're screwed. Oh, and maybe three, young people have got it figured out as well. How about we start telling people the truth, all of them from now on? There's no Santa Claus. There's no Easter Bunny. There's no fairy that's going to bring you 25 cents under your pillow if you leave your broken tooth under there during the night. Let's tell people the full truth, even the so-called young people who have got this shit figured out way more than the adults do. Thanks for staying tuned. We'll try to produce another of these in about a week or so.